YouTube and fellow Star Wars collectors. On this episode of Toys Are the Way, we'll be taking a look at the latest addition to the Vintage Collection Army Builder 4-pack, the B1 Battle Droid. Welcome back everyone and channel members. So today we have a bunch of clankers to take a look at, and the Vintage Collection has finally opted to update the B1 Battle Droid. Now this one right here is the repack from about 5 years ago, and the mold is just pretty old in general, and yeah, it's my least favorite figure in the entire line, simply because it can't even perform its base function, stand up for a long period of time on your shelf display, which is a bit of a bummer. So as someone who likes, the prequel trilogy and Clone Wars, this is a character that I want to see done proper. I need a bunch of them, just like I need Imperial Stormtroopers. And Hasbro's done a little bit of an upgrade here, but was it enough? I'm not quite sure. So with all that being said and done, don't forget to smash a like on this video, subscribe if you're new, or even become a channel member, and let's take a closer look at the packaging and figures. Taking a look at the box, we have our standard packaging when it comes to these Army Builder 4-packs. We have a white box with a simplified line illustration of the characters included in this set, and we usually have a pop of color, which helps highlight the squad leader. Now, I will say the yellow they used here is a bit muted in my opinion, and they should have used something a little bit more vibrant to really, bring this box to life. We have the Star Wars logo, nice and bold, looking great, followed by Battle Droid on a simplified black and white name pill color. On the side of the box, we have an image of the character with the Vintage Collection logo, looking absolutely great, and this is a nice way to display these boxes if you choose to do so, kind of like a book on a shelf. On the sides, we have a little bit of warning labels and other stuff that's not really too exciting, and then on the back, we have the 4 characters that are included in this set. You're going to get 3 grunts and a squad leader, which is great. We have let them know that, we don't like to have, a squad leader or somebody who's very unique that stands out in a set. But for this one, I think it's okay. I would prefer, just 4 battle droids, maybe not the leader, save him for a card, but that's still one that you're going to want a couple of, in the future to lead different squads and stuff. So not too bad here in my opinion. So this is going to make a great addition to the Army Builder 4-packs, which we've had quite a number of so far. And yeah, just always happy to have more of these sets being added to the line. Now, if you're new to collecting or unfamiliar with these Army Builder 4-packs, typically you get a bunch of cardboard in here, but this is the first time we're seeing a plastic tray in this kind of set. Usually they were plastic free. And yeah, I don't know, maybe there was something about these battle droids that they thought this would help them stay more rigid or something, but regardless, I think it's not too bad. You still get all of the blasters in tissue paper, so you're going to have 4 blasters in there. And then here you can see all the accessories that are included. You're getting 4 different backpacks, all with different paint applications on them. So I think that's actually pretty nice. You're getting 4 of the antennas, so you're able to, swap it out. If you want to put the backpack on, that's great. If you want to go for the antenna look, that's also a move you can do. And then taking a close look at each of them, you can see they all have some different paint applications on them, which is also nice to see. Typically these Army Builder 4-packs don't really go heavy on paint applications, but I do appreciate what they did here, making them very unique. So if you get a bunch of these, they're not going to necessarily all look exactly the same. Additionally, you also get a total of 6 of the blaster rifles, which is pretty cool to get some extra accessories considering we only have 4 troopers in this set. And lastly, taking a look at the blaster rifle, it's made of a pretty rigid plastic. It's still got a little bend to it. As you can see, there is absolutely no weathering on there, but I think that's okay. The Trade Federation was using pretty good equipment, in my opinion. It wasn't ever, too weathered down or scuffed up. So nice to get a pretty decent accessory with this figure, and the only thing I will say is I'm a bit disappointed that they still have not engineered a way for this to clip into this backpack, just like you saw in the Phantom Menace and in other different properties. So that's something I think Hasbro needs to improve upon for the actual definitive release of this character. Taking a look at the Battle Droid close up, I wanted to kind of focus on some of these paint applications that look pretty good in my opinion, and I'm actually just, very grateful that they did give us some paint applications on this set. I also wanted to bring in the old one from the previous Phantom Menace release, and I never liked this figure when it first came out. First of all, it's kind of got this shiny look to it that looks pretty bad. It looks like it's kind of covered in grease and just I don't know, some kind of oil residue. This 4-pack one looks much better in my opinion. Even the silver paint applications just look, much more convincing. And so yeah, this one from the previous repack 5 years ago or so just looks bad all around. So yeah, definitely a huge improvement here. You can see some of that scuffing on his leg. Got that nice like drip down here on his like restraining bolt type thing that's on his chest. Some other paint applications here on his face, and yeah, pretty decent. Let's bring in another one real quick. You can see some of the different paint applications that are going on with this guy. A little bit more of a harsher like wash that's going on that bolt right there, so that's pretty cool. It's got different like silver paint applications and scuffing on his shoulders there. He has a different, marking on his eye kind of right there, like he almost got blasted away or something like that and survived. And yeah, just all in all, nice to see paint applications on the figures, because sometimes we're not seeing that these days. So I have to give credit to Hasbro because I appreciate good paint applications. Taking a look at the B1 Battle Droid out of the packaging, more specifically taking a look at 9, because this is kind of a unique character. It is a commander, but I think it's 9 from the Phantom Menace, but still pretty cool. Yeah, great stuff going on here. We have, pretty much the similar ball jointed hip thing that's going on with the previous release, but they have re-engineered these legs. First of all, they are much thicker. They're made of a better rigid plastic. And my favorite part is that they, one, have articulation here. So you have a swivel hinge there. You can also bend backwards quite far, which is great. And then we have rocker ankles, which honestly, I did not think there would be a day where we see rocker ankles on a battle droid in the vintage collection. So that is great. Now, you can definitely get a decently wide stance there. You can turn the legs, and, I've been doing a couple poses with this thing so far, and it's pretty decent. So definitely a huge upgrade on the legs, and I have actually had one of these figures out overnight standing in a pose, and it did not fall over, which is a miracle, to be honest. It's almost as impressive as the Force creating a child from nothing. So yeah, very, very cool to see that. Now, the arms are exactly the same articulation and sculpting from the previous release as is the upper body, basically. So that's where this one kind of falls short, because it cannot rotate its arm. It's only got a swivel there, so it can't turn it, and it can't do a two-handed grip of the blaster, which is the next thing they absolutely need to fix, because it's just ridiculous at this point that this figure can't hold the rifle with two hands. And yeah, I don't know. It's also still a bendy plastic, and I know this is a difficult design at this scale, but they really have got to improve upon that. Same thing, as I mentioned before, being able to peg the rifle into the backpack. If you're new to collecting or this figure, here you can see the peg on the back. You have the smaller peg for that little antenna, or this backpack. So it simply goes on there, and it's pretty snug, so you won't have any problems with that falling off. And yeah, I don't know, other than that, I'm not too impressed with what's going on here, because it's the same old battle droid. It can hold the blaster, but, it leaves a lot to be desired. Now, the head does go all the way down, which is pretty good. You can pop it all the way up. Sorry about that backpack. And then you can rotate it pretty decently, in my opinion. Let's get his backpack attached again. And yeah, all in all, a pretty decent upgrade when it comes to the legs, but I'm definitely left here wanting much more. And let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Is this enough for you? Do you want to see the battle droid done proper? Do you want to see a new upper body, proper arms? Let me know in those comments. But yeah, all in all, I am happy to finally have something that can actually stand in my collection. So that is a plus, and I am getting 9 into the collection as well. And taking one last look at all the B1 Battle Droids from the set compared to the previous release, you can definitely see how they have improved upon the legs. They're just thicker in general, and yeah, once again, I've never been a big fan of this figure. It's just so gummy. The joints are like not great. They just, have no tension to them whatsoever. Yeah, these new ones are much better in my opinion. You can just kind of get them standing right up again, where this one, he just takes a lot more effort. And if any of you are familiar with this figure and what a pain it is in the collection, it just does not stand up. You can try peg stands or whatever. The leg will eventually give out, and this guy will just like flop over like so. And he is the Gumby of the vintage collection, and I've never been a fan. So these guys look great. Really happy to finally have a somewhat proper B1 Battle Droid in the vintage collection. At last, we can throw those old gummy clankers into the trash compactor. The Battle Droid 4-pack release is definitely something that I wanted to see for quite some time in terms of army building, but I've always been reluctant to support this idea as the previous B1 Battle Droid was hands down the worst figure in my collection. Roger, Roger. Luckily, thanks to our friends in the Trade Federation and Hasbro, the Vintage Collection Battle Droid is now armed with modern articulation from the waist down, such as ball-jointed hips, hinges at the knees, and rocker ankles. Additionally, when this articulation is combined with bulkier and sturdier plastic, the droids are actually able to stand quite well on the battlefield and achieve some decent poses. Unfortunately, the upper body is still terribly obsolete and uses bendy plastic, which means the Battle Droid still cannot achieve a proper two-hand grip of the rifle with the articulation that the droid has. I think it's safe to say that fans will not be satisfied until this issue has been addressed. I hope you've enjoyed this video and taking a look at this latest addition to the Vintage Collection Army Builder 4-pack lineup, the B1 Battle Droid. Feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And don't forget to drop a like on this video and subscribe if you're new to the channel. It really helps and is always greatly appreciated. Thanks everyone, and may the Force be with you.